All right. So kind of said let's take a break this week on the lessons. Lesson 3, I still need to grade those. Just taking some time and fixing some problems and adding some graphics. And just taking a look. And you can kind of see where people are just by glancing. See who's been adding things, who's done or started lesson 4. And so I jumped into this Flowers game. It's up here, their Haunted Mansion game. And I added some spells. So this is her version. I'm going to try to recreate what I create, that spell. So it doesn't really matter where your game is. You could stop and add some type of spell, or you could make it an arrow, some type of projectile weapon that you want to do, and you can just kind of follow along with me, and we should be able to do it together today. So I hope you're with me. You could be doing this on your main game, or you could open make a copy of your main game right now just to play around with this to see if it works. You don't want to mess anything up. I'll give you a minute to open up your main game. I'll pop into the Meet, make sure no one's posted a question. I think you're following along. I hope so. All right, and so here's the version that I added the lightning bolt spell. Okay, so almost everything's the same. I just added that spell. And so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go inside Gia's game. And part of, when you're making a video game, what video games are, they're just moving graphics. It's like telling a story. It's drawing, it's coding, but a lot of it is you have to have the image. You have to have the thing. And so that requires you to either draw it or to actually find an image. So I went into Google image search and I typed in lightning spell and tile set. And first I started with this costume, but the background made it really hard. And I ultimately made that spell from this sprite sheet here I found. It looks like it doesn't have a background, but it also has a background. I downloaded that image. And now I'm going to go into my game here, and I'm going to hover over this add a sprite function, and I'm going to say upload a sprite. And really, it's just uploading a costume to this sprite. Okay, and I'm going to look for that, and here it is, spells 2. All right, and automatically it names this sprite spells 2, which I could just call it spells, and it gives it a costume. You can pause the video and search up your own sprite sheet from your own. Okay, because it might take a minute. All right. So now I have this sprite sheet, and I'm going to start off with this image right here. So I'm going to highlight this image, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paint a new sprite, a new costume, I should say. And I'm going to convert it to bitmap. I don't know why it always starts out in vector. And I'm just going to paste it and bring it in. And you can see that it's coming along with its own background. All right, so this sprite sheet is not great, okay? But I'm just going to clean it up a little bit, like so. And I'm just deleting away portions of this background. And you can see over here that it's fixing it somewhat. I've already done this once before to create it the first time, but Just trying to show you how you can do this kind of quickly. It's a little slow. I'm not going to do a perfect job this first time through. And just deleting some of this stuff away. I can always edit it again later if I wanted to. All right, so I've deleted most of the background off. It's really hard to see it because it almost matches the grid that shows that there is no background, okay? And this is a little bit larger than I want it to be. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and I'm going to center it. It's going to be, so this could be like the start of the spell when I'm just starting to cast it, okay? And so it doesn't have any code right now. So I'm just going to give it some code. I'm going to say, when I start the game, forever, and motion, go to, and she's got her player one called Ghost. So go to Ghost. So I'm going to start the game, and as you can see, it's like right on top of the Ghost. And it's going to follow the Ghost around and all that. All right, which is fine. That's what I'm telling it to do. Okay. All right. But really, I don't want just one of these. It's going to really ultimately become a clone. Okay, so the actual spell sprite itself, I don't ever want to see. I'm just going to hide it right from the get-go. So it's going to go away. And I don't know, every time I start the game, her ghost is like down here, which is, I always got to move to see it. So I'm just going to change the way when I start the game. I'm just going to start right there. Okay. So now I can work on this a little more. All right. So I've got this sprite that I've just created. I've called it spells. It has some costumes. I've made one of the costumes right here. All right. And I'm looking at the code. And so I hide it at the beginning. And I'm going to look into is it control? Yeah. I'm going to create a clone of myself, and I'm going to say when I start as a clone. Okay. And I'm going to use this as when the mouse button clicks. And so when you click the mouse, that's this function, mouse down. All right. So now I'm saying forever if mouse is down, create a clone of myself. When I start as a clone, go to the ghost. So I'm going to start the game, restart the game. I'm going to click on it, and I don't see it. And the reason why I don't see it is it's still hidden. So I want to show it. Okay. So now it pops up. So when I start the game, there is no spell. When I click the button, there it is. Okay. All right. But I want it to do more than that. So that's like the start of the spell, like casting. And the way I would envision this is this spellcaster, every spell that this ghost casts will start off with this. Okay. I'm going to move it a little bit. So now I'm going to go into the costumes. I just don't like, I kind of want it like that maybe. And maybe it's a little too big. So still, notice I can still adjust it and tweak it to what I want it to look like. All right, so maybe that's what it's going to be. Okay. And it kind of depends on where I'm standing. It's kind of cool. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to create the actual lightning bolt. And I took like one of these spell things right here. It was actually this one and created it originally. And I'm going to just work some magic on this. Okay. So I'm going to copy that and paint this again right here. And I'm running into those same, I need to be in bitmap. So I go to bitmap. Now I paste it. And it's going to be ugly again. So I need to clean up some of this mess right here. And just kind of cleaning this up. And what I've already done this before, so I kind of already know what I want to do. And so this end piece, I'm going to rotate it around like that and kind of give it more of a tail. But you can see there's some white in the way. So let me zoom in a little bit. Yeah, get rid of some of this. And some of this is just really particular to whatever sprite sheet you pick, but it's graphics. You could draw it. Like I could have tried to draw something similar to this. Another thing I want to do, I'm just cleaning this up still. Okay. This part's pretty cool, but I'm going to edit this too. So I'm going to pull this off. Get rid of some more of this white. I'm going to copy that, paste it, and flip it on the horizontal. No. Flip it on the vertical. No. Flip it on the horizontal. Doesn't look like I wanted. Get rid of that white. And this is like way more than you necessarily might need to do. Again, maybe I'm being picky. Trying to make it kind of cool like the one I did before. It just seems to be getting worse. So again, graphics, you can spend forever on them. I'm going to call that good. Okay, and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to duplicate it, actually, and then I'm going to flip it on the vertical, but it just doesn't look right. So I'm going to do that. And you'll see why I'm doing this in a minute. It's going to look kind of cool. All right. So I'm going to call this costume Bolt 1. I'm going to call this costume Bolt 2. And the whole, it doesn't do anything magical to name things, what you name them. It just helps you later when you are in the code and you're trying to select it, you know what to pick. So as long as you know what you're doing, it'll work in most cases. All right. So I have those extra costumes. So when I start, I want to be start. Okay. So when I start as a clone, it's going to switch the costume to the start of the spell. It's going to go to the ghost. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I just want it to wait for a second, because if I tell it to do something else, it's going to happen so fast, you're not even going to see it. So I'm going to wait a quarter second. All right. And then I'm going to have it switch its costume again. I'm going to have it switch its costume to Bolt 1. Okay. Like that. All right. And I'm going to have it go to wherever the mouse has been clicked. All right. So first I'm going to have it point. There's this point towards. I'm going to have it point towards the mouse pointer. Okay. So it's pointing to wherever the mouse pointer is. All right. And then I want it to move towards the mouse pointer. So I'm going to say move 10 steps. And we did this way back when. All right. So move 10 steps towards it. And again, I'm going to have it wait a second. So I'm going to duplicate this right here. Pull this off. And wait. And let's just do 0.05 seconds, like a very small amount of time. And I want to just keep doing this over and over again. So in control, there's this thing that just says repeat until. So I want this to repeat. Okay. So I'm going to put that right there. All right. Oh, and there it goes. So I press the button and it takes off. We've got some work to do, but pretty cool. Okay. All right. And we're going to say repeat until, and I'm going to give it some options. So repeat until we're touching like a wall. So repeat until we're touching the wall, or repeat until we touch the edge of the screen. Okay. It's touching the edge. And now it's going crazy. If I reset, let's see what happens. Okay. And every time I press it, it's just going nuts and shooting. All right. I'm going to give it some more controls. So I'm going to say if, and I'm going to duplicate this. If these things happen, if it touches the wall or if any of those things happen, then we're going to delete the clone. Delete this clone. All right. And it's starting to get better already. Okay. When it hits the wall, the clone deletes. It's going really slow. We can change that. I'm not done with all the effects that I'm going to do. So now I'm going to show you why I have two of those. So now I'm going to switch it back and forth between the two. Oh, see that now? See? That's why I have two different ones. It kind of gives it that movement. Okay. And I can change the speed two different ways. Like I can make it move further each time. So watch, this will make it move faster now. See, it's way faster. Reset the game.